Hello, friends. And today is Wednesday, and every Wednesday I meet you with some perspective on the management and how leaders and CEOs can influence their business and influence their life. And I actually give my perspective using the true meaning behind some of the powerful words in our dictionary, the words that we use in our day to day language, and what impact these words have. And today, the positive words and the true meaning behind these positive words, starting with N, is being covered. And by the way, friends, you can actually engage with me by using the chat function in the social media platforms, wherever you are, whichever part of the world, and from whichever social media you're watching us from. So let's move ahead and talk about the powerful word, starting with new. New is such a powerful word, very simple. We use it like 10 times in one day, maybe, or maybe 20 times in a day. But new is related to something which is fresh, So you come up with an idea in your organization and you create a discussion or you create a consensus within your company. That will create a lot of empowerment within your group. Now, you can also say that you can start a challenge within your company to come up with new ideas, because if you don't have new ideas, new projects, the chances are that new things will not happen in your organization. So that is why new has such an important activity in shaping up your personality and also your business. You should always keep thinking about what you have to do going forward. And similarly, your team must also give you new and fresh ideas, so that some of these ideas can be implemented. Some of these ideas you can actually do a test run. Some of these ideas you can just try it out, things like that. And some of these ideas will actually become the next level of success for your organization. So therefore, new is a very simple word, but it has a very deep meaning, and that is why I'm talking about it in today's powerful words. Equally powerful word is next. Next is after new. So what next? So now, if you are a leader and if you are a CEO, ability to give the next move for your organization makes you a leader. So your team relies on you. Your team thinks that you can come up with the next steps which will bring success for your team, for your company, as well as there could be next steps defined for the individual team members. So next is a very simple word. We use it in our day-to-day language, but the true meaning behind lies in the implementation of this word. And if you have the next as your character, that means you're always hungry, you're always looking for fresh initiatives, you're always looking and guiding your team in such a way that they rely on you, they feel that you are a very good leader, and you're pushing their boundaries with your next either initiative or question or any suggestions you want to give. So don't think that you don't want to give any suggestions or what new, what next your organization, and if you just be an introvert leader, will take you far. You can be introvert, but you should also have habit of finding what is new and what this new will become as a next step for your company, for your team. And now, so having stumbled upon a good idea, having come up with a next step to implement the new idea, you don't want to procrastinate. You don't want to procrastinate that implementation, and that is why you have to do it now. So have you gone through the whole process? Yes, you have gone through the whole process. Have you done the analysis of pros and cons of the new ideas? Yes, you have done. And having done the pros and cons of the new idea, you are now jotting down the next steps. So, as part of the previous pages, new ideas, next steps, you have already done your due diligence of the steps your company or your team will take it. Now, having done all that exercise, you don't implement and you do procrastination. That means you wait for the good times to happen, or you are not really confident about the next steps. That means you need to go back to the next. But having done the all the right moves, have done the due diligence about the new ideas, you must not wait, you must do it now. And that is why now is a very powerful word. And most of the CEOs who are watching my show right now, they would know the importance of this word now, because if you procrastinate and delay it, be lazy about it, so will your team would be. You don't expect your team to be different from you. Your team will do what you expect. And if you are basically slow and not fast enough, your team will also not move as fast as you expect them to be. So I think now, a very simple word we use like 50 times or maybe 100 times a day, but this is something you as a leader you must think as a attribute in your. You should be always at least feel hungry about new ideas, new steps, and you have to implement it now. And then when you implement your solution, you have to be very nimble footed. We don't want to use this word very lightly. Nimble is light footed. You feel very buoyant. Another powerful word starting with B, buoyant. That means you feel very light. You feel almost like as if you're floating in thin air. And the true meaning behind nimble is that you quickly finish and without any baggage, find out what is the solution you have come up with and move on to the next step quickly. Because it is taking me back to now. If there are 10 steps defined in your new project, you want to finish them quickly, and that is why the nimble is, you don't want to carry baggage from step 1 to step 2, step 3 and so on. You have to quickly finish all these steps so that you can move on in life. So when you do it now, you have to do it quickly also. You don't want to take like 1 month to implement those steps. For instance, I would like to share my experience from the corporate life. When I was working for the large corporation, the speed at which the large corporation used to move after so many meetings, we were actually playing a game of organizing meetings. And the decision that we have to take, say for example, every Thursday, first week we meet, we will decide next step, and then we will meet next month, Thursday in the first week. So for 1 month, there is no nimbleness in our approach. We are actually waiting for consensus to build up over a month. So whenever we had to take steps, I'm talking about 5-6 years back. Now the environment is totally different. But that time we were not nimble footed because we were working for large corporation, and that is why the smaller companies can be very nimble footed. They can find solution quickly, they can satisfy the customer quickly as compared to large corporation. So this is what the nimbleness is. You should feel very buoyant and you should move on to the next step quickly. Now let's change gear, and this is a power word I feel, because if you are a leader and a CEO, you have to first of all understand the needs of your company, your teammates who are going to work for you, who are going to who will be guided by you. And therefore, to carry on that project which you ask your team to do, what are the needs to execute it successfully? You don't want to leave it by chance and leave it on them. You have to also think through as part of your next steps what we need to execute this project. At the same time, you have to also understand the personal needs of your team members. So that is why identifying what is required, what are the needs of the team member, is also very important. And therefore, I want to discuss this as a management discussion point today. A power word, again we use it like 100 times in a day, but the true meaning is truly understanding what my team requires to execute project. And if some of the team members have some personal issues, they have something extra requirement on the personal front, it is my responsibility as a leader to understand all needs, whether personal or official. Then we are executing these projects, and there are certain team members who may be most suitable for executing that project because they would understand the ground where we are executing this project. Maybe they have an advantage in terms of language. Say for example, if you have a project going in France, for instance, you don't want to send a person from Africa to France and execute it. You would like to ideally find a person who can mingle there, who can go around, and he can bring that native touch. So native, or understanding the ground reality of that project, of that of that region, or what are the requirements. Let's talk about technical aspects. The nativeness is somebody with 4 skill sets. They are a person or a team member within your team who's best suited. It is not the question of seniority. It's a question of who is most suitable to execute that project successfully. So that is why for each project, for each activity in your organization, you must devote some time, if you are a CEO and a leader, to identify who is the best suitable resource for that activity and allocate responsibility accordingly. You don't want to just blindly give responsibility to somebody who has very little experience in that domain or in that region or in that activity, and you don't want to merely go by the designation. So I think it is more relevant in today's context where the CEOs don't have to behave like a CEO, where they have to behave more like a team member. And that is why understanding the true meaning behind being native is very important, especially for the leaders and the chief executive officers. And then when we have identified the exact team members who can execute the project, we also have to identify what are the conditions for these people to execute the project and become successful. So we have to understand the nature around the problem statement. What are the conditions? Are there any regulations which we need to follow? Are there any legal requirements? Are there any requirements which are related to that particular region? Are there any nuances? Another powerful words. Any nuances which are related to that activity in that region. So we need to also understand in what conditions my core team will be working in terms of the surroundings, in terms of office space. For example, if do they need an office space, do they need some stationery, do they need some support in terms of physical activities, and so on and so forth. So the entire nature of the problem that you are embarking on has to be understood by you, because you are the leader or you are a chief executive officer of your company. So that is why the true meaning of nature is not really understanding, hey, there is the forest, this is a road which is winding down in the forest. It is actually understanding the surroundings of your team and guide your team appropriately. And you have to, I will take you back to needs. So nature could be directly related to needs. You have to understand what is required, and therefore you have to make a winning team. You have to make the winning environment for that project to be executed. And then you have to make sure you give enough time for this team to succeed. So you need to nurture it. You need to find out, because it's not a one day's job. When you start a project, at least 2 to 3 months time you have to give to see whether the project is giving results. In my opinion, any knee-jerk reaction, whether the project is going to succeed or not, is wrong. So you need to give at least 2 to 3 months of time on every project. Now, before you come here to this particular point of nurturing, you have to go back to the next, the points that I described in next, that you need to do a lot of uh, self articulation. You need to understand the problem statement. You need to understand what projects, and that is, once you have decided all of that, the nurture segment of your project will be much more easier for you, because you know that I've already done the planning, and given 2 months or 3 months time on the project, this project is going to succeed. And we will also know the real data behind. If it fails, we would know why we failed, so that if we decide to continue on this path, we will basically understand what challenges we got on the way, and maybe we missed out these points. We need to prepare for that, so you can go back with the right data points and repeat the cycle. So nurture is basically understanding the or basically getting the market intelligence, and that is part of nurturing. And therefore, as a leader, as a CEO, you must be ready to nurture your team and never take any knee-jerk reaction. Another powerful word which I'm not covering, but knee-jerk is another word which starts with N. And in the last, I would like to wind up by saying greetings. So since I'm an Indian, I would like to talk about Namaste. Now, Namaste, when you basically say Namaste, you actually dissolve all boundaries. So in India, when we fold our hands and bow, it dissolves the other party. And the true meaning behind Namaste is that you are giving respect to the other person. And when we say Namaste, it doesn't mean that Namaste has to be done between a lower person to a higher person, or a young person to a elder person. Namaste is a generic greetings, and it cut across all strata of society, age barriers, and richness and poor people. So if rich person has to say Namaste, what is the other word, equivalent word? It's Namaste. So whichever greeting you are actually using to break the ice, to dissolve the barriers, is Namaste. Well, in English, the equivalent word is hello, and so on. And in French, there is an equal word. So these are just an example. I have just kept Namaste, but it could be very well hello. But Namaste starts from N. I'm using this. So make sure that you have the right body language when you approach the field, when you approach your team, when you approach clients. You should always be ready to accept them, and you should always be ready to always respect them by saying Namaste or saying hello. You don't want to be ignorant to the fact that there are other people who are watching you, and when the others are watching you, you don't want to look like a person who don't want to say greetings. So that is why, again, a very powerful word, especially if you're an Indian. And nowadays, in the during the pandemic, Namaste is very safe because you're not touching. There is a social distancing element also. So it is a very powerful word in terms of sending the right body language signals to the other party. Also, it ensures that you have the social distancing. So without touching other person, you can actually pass in that positive vibe. So friends, we have come to the end of our program, which is discussing the powerful words and the true meaning behind some of these powerful words starting with N. And if you have any thoughts, any suggestion, you can send me the comments. Use the comment section, chat section in your social media, and I urge you to engage with me, and that will help me improve my next program. But for today, thanks for watching, and I will catch you next Wednesday, same time. Bye bye.